Gosh, this is good stuff. I'm pumped and excited. Wow, I really am. This is great. This is really, I think it's going to be really helpful for a lot of beekeepers, especially new beekeepers that are lacking experience. But let me give you something that I experienced a long time ago. I observed this in beekeepers, and that is there's a lot of beekeepers that, let's say you take a 10-year beekeeper. Let's do 5 years. That's more realistic. Somebody that's been keeping bees 5 years, oftentimes what happens is they don't have 5 years of experience. They have 1 year of experience because they only do the same thing year after year. They're not educating themselves. Their bees die every winter. They buy a new package and they do the same thing every year. They're just a 1-year beekeeper that has done it 5 times over the period of 5 years. So you need to learn, you need to be growing and educating yourself in these matters. Beekeeping has taught me so much about life. It's amazing. One of the things beekeeping has taught me is that we all have 2 pockets. One pocket is a pocket of luck, and the other pocket is a pocket of experience. Now, whether you're starting out in beekeeping or anything else really, you rely on these 2 pockets to get you through. For example, when you first start out in beekeeping, you rely on luck a lot more than you do experience because you don't have any experience at all. So you're having to rely a lot on luck. But then as you keep bees for a while, this really does apply to anything, by the way, but as you get more experience in beekeeping, you're not so much depending on luck anymore, but you're relying on your beekeeping experience. Now, even though they may not realize it, new beginners are relying heavily on luck. I know I did when I started beekeeping almost 30 years ago. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I knew what I was doing, but now that I know a little bit more, I didn't know anything back then. So I was depending on luck because I didn't have any experience at all, and I only had a little bit of knowledge or education about bees, period. We've all heard the phrase, some people are bee havers and some are beekeepers. Now, the bee haver is somebody that has bees, but they're just kind of relying on luck because they're not really using years of experience or knowledge or education to actually keep or manage their bees. For example, many new beekeepers coming out of winter get lucky because their hive didn't swarm the next second year. They just simply got lucky because they didn't do anything at all sometimes to prevent it from swarming. That's what I mean by luck. If you don't institute any type of swarm control because you don't have the knowledge or the experience to prevent a swarm or reduce swarming, and your bees happen not to swarm, then you're reaching into that luck bag and you're saying, wow, I got lucky, my bees didn't swarm. But an experienced beekeeper reaches into their experience bag or pocket and they pull out experience that they're going to apply different management techniques to reduce the chance of that overwintered colony swarming. A new beginner may install a new package of bees. They absolutely do nothing to prevent absconding, and their bees may all abscond. Now, the difference between absconding and swarming is absconding means all your bees leave your colony. Usually the queen also, there's just nothing there. That new package ups and flies away. This can happen up to 2 weeks after you install your bees. So a new beginner may install their bees, not have any knowledge or experience on how to prevent absconding, and those bees simply leave. They got unlucky. They reached into the pocket of luck and there was nothing in there. And of course, the experience pocket was empty as well. So luck is not anything that we can really rely on. It's just a word we use when things don't go bad. We simply say, wow, I got lucky on that one. Or if it does go bad, then we say, shoot, my luck ran out. So stay with me. This is really interesting because many new beekeepers that lack a lot of experience, or some even lack knowledge because maybe they didn't take a class, they're just jumping into it after watching a few YouTube videos or something. And their first year, they don't do anything at all to control the viral destructor mite. Now, what happens is that maybe into their second year, the bees overwinter, they come out of winter and they say to themselves, oh my gosh, look at me. I am this fantastic beekeeper because everybody's always harping on Mite Control. I didn't do anything. My bees are great. The mites didn't affect my bees. And usually what that is a result from is that the bees were on autopilot. What I mean by that is the bees were just doing what bees do. They were just buzzing along, doing their thing. And luck fell into the beekeeper's favor, and either the bees that had mites, the mites weren't very infected with viruses, or that particular set of bees just didn't have many mites that year. Even though there were so many things that could have taken that hive out, because the beekeeper wasn't doing anything to prevent all those things from happening, like small hive beetle, Mite Control. The bees could have all swarmed because maybe the beekeeper didn't know to put more boxes on for growth and all that. So it just happened that bees were on autopilot. They did what they needed to do. And miraculously, luckily, nothing happened. They made it through their second year. Now, I've done the very same thing so many times before. Sometimes I neglect a hive or 2 or 10 because I'm making YouTube videos, or because I'm traveling, I'm speaking someplace. I just can't go out there and hit my target dates on when I need to expand my hives, or I need to treat for mites or something. And so sometimes I just get lucky. And so it's kind of like the round hive. Remember the little round hive video? We thought they died last fall. I didn't see much activity in the fall, didn't see much activity in the winter, of course, even on warm days. But then I made a video like, let's open it up and see, and they're all okay. Now this is their, what is it, their third year, I think? And I have never treated them. I've never done any swami beetle control. I've never done anything to help them out. They're on their own. They're on autopilot. They're just doing what they're supposed to do. Now, follow me on this. This is kind of where it gets a little weird, because we can jump to the conclusion that, oh, David, you've just hit on something. We all should be running our bees in round hives because you've done nothing to it. And voila, there they are, just doing super. We've been idiots all these years for treating, for using Langstroth hives or Layens hives or top bar hives or Apiary hives. We've been an idiot. We should have all been in round hives. We can sometimes draw conclusions like that. And some people have told me that. They're doing so great because we're not treating for mites. We're not interfering with them. Bees left alone. See, bees do fine when we leave them alone. Well, I don't believe that. I think I got lucky. Here's an example. Let's say I'm driving down the interstate, 65, 70 miles an hour. And let's say that I want to test out this theory, and I'm going to close my eyes going down the interstate because the road looks pretty, straight in front of me. So I'm just going to close my eyes to do an experiment. Let's say I'm going to close my eyes for 20 seconds. That's a long time going that fast, but stay with me. So I close my eyes for 20 seconds and I open my eyes to see what happens. And lo and behold, I'm really still going down the interstate in my same lane. Maybe I'm off a little bit, but I didn't hit anybody. I didn't run off the road. So it's easy to conclude, oh my gosh, we've been wasting all of our eyesight all these years keeping our eyes open because I just did it for 20 seconds and nothing happened. It's the same way with this round hive. I didn't open it and nothing happened. It doesn't mean that now we all should do that. No one would say you should ride down the interstate with your eyes closed. That's ridiculous. We know that something bad can happen. And it's the same way in beekeeping. My luck will run out with that round hive, right? We all know that. Luck is going to run out. We need to look at it, but it's an experiment. I just got it to see how it would go. Truthfully, luck really doesn't get us too far in beekeeping. I have taken bees out of trees before. Landscapers have brought trees over here to my bee farm full of bees, a beehive in a section of tree, and they set it on my property. And there's not much I can do with those bees in a tree because I can't treat them for mites. I can't really, go manage them or anything. And I might get lucky the rest of that year, but you know what? I have never seen one of those hives overwinter, ever. Now, it could be because they were disturbed when they were cut. It messed things up in there, whatever. But my point is that luck does run out in beekeeping if we don't have experience. Luck will never help us divert a crisis in our colony. No, I mean, if you open up your hive and you have a crisis, let's say, you have something bad like American foul brood, European foul brood, you need to take action. You just can't do nothing or hope that you'll get lucky and American foul brood to go away or European foul brood to go away. Or let's say you lose your queen, you're queenless, and there's no eggs, there's no larvae they can raise queens from, and you don't know what to do because they can't raise a queen now, and they're queenless. Luck is ran out. There's no amount of luck that's ever going to help you out. But what will help us is education and knowledge and experience. Well, how do we get experience? How do we get our pocket full of experience so we don't have to try to get lucky all the time? When we're first starting out, we just don't have any experience at all. I remember when I first starting out in life, maybe I was just going to college, or Sherry and I had just got married, and I needed to buy something, let's say a car or something, but I needed credit to get a car loan. Well, I didn't have credit because I'd never bought anything. So it's like, how do I get credit unless you let me buy something to prove that I can pay and establish my credit? You know, well, it's different today, but that's the way it was back then. So it's kind of like that with these two pockets of luck and a pocket of experience. David, I'm brand new. I don't have any experience. It happened to me that way. I was brand new to beekeeping. I had no experience when I started, and I had to rely on luck. And lo and behold, it worked out good my first year, year and a half, or 2 years. And then the Viral Destructor was so bad that my luck ran out. It came, and the Viral Destructor was introduced into the US, smacking into our hives and just killing our bees. What are you going to do? There was no amount of luck that would help me. We all have to start beekeeping with no experience. You can start beekeeping with reading books, watching YouTube videos, and you can start beekeeping by talking to your friends, going to a bee club, watching people do it. But the experience of opening up a hive tool, prying the lid off, smoking them, and then reading the frames, and by that I mean actually making decisions on based on what you see on in the cells or on that frame, that comes from years of experience. The only way that you can get experience is by doing it. Now, let me tell you a secret here. I know you watch other YouTubers that do beekeeping here on YouTube, and you know, YouTube celebrities. You probably have your YouTube celebrity that you love to watch. Oh, I just love to watch this guy when he does this and that. You know, look how he does this, look how he does that. But here's the deal. Every YouTube beekeeper celebrity, no matter how famous they are, no matter how wise and awesome they are in their bees, they all started with zero experience. They did. They started with no experience at all of them. So they were in the same place that many of you are going to be this spring. So don't just look at somebody that's a celebrity on YouTube and beekeeping and think, oh my gosh, one day I want to be like them. I wish I was like them, because they had to journey down the same path that you're about to journey on too. And that is putting experience in your pocket so you don't have to reach in to the pocket of luck, because there's not much in there and it doesn't really exist. It's just something that we rely on, and it gets us through sometimes. But this is kind of cool. Listen to this. It is our knowledge and our wisdom and our education that bridges the gap between luck and between experience. That's right. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to just keep bees best we can with limited experience. We're gaining experience, but we're keeping bees. We're filling up our pocket full of experience. Every time we do an inspection, we're learning something, we're gaining more experience, and we're just bridging that gap by being well educated. Seriously, this really does help tremendously, because when you open up a hive and you've taken some beekeeping classes, you understand bee biology really well, but you don't have any experience, it still registers what you're seeing. You can still make decisions because you're very knowledgeable about bees, even though you lack the experience. That knowledge, that education is going to bridge that gap. I'm telling you, I didn't go that way. I didn't take any classes when I started beekeeping, because I started 30 years ago. There weren't many classes. There was no internet. There just wasn't much going on like it is today in comparison. And I had such little understanding of bees. I made so many mistakes, and those mistakes were costly. And so you don't have to do that today, because there's so many places that you can become more knowledgeable, educated, and until you get a lot of experience under your belt, that education is really going to carry you a long way. Well, okay, you need a little luck along the way too. I'm not going to deny that. You're going to need a little bit of luck along the way. By the way, if you're enjoying this, be sure and subscribe. Wow, we're almost to 139,000 subscribers. Bobblehead David, his job is to stand around in this funny little pair of pajamas or this NASCAR suit or something. It's supposed to be a bee suit. And he's supposed to stand around and encourage you guys to please subscribe. So I appreciate it. Let me encourage you to learn all you can about bees before you start. Now, if you've already started, this is your second, third, or fourth year, and you still feel like you're reaching into the pocket or the bag of luck, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I hope I get lucky this year, your luck's going to run out. You got to get experience, and you just need to get into education. Look, bee biology is really essential. To understand honeybee biology, the biology of not only the bees, but just everything about beekeeping, you just need to dive in and really educate yourself. That's going to help you be more comfortable when you do your inspections and when you start seeing things that you're insecure about. Now, let me give you some good examples. This is going to help you a lot. Get your notepad out, take some notes. This is just, I think this is going to be real helpful. Ready? So what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and work through some scenarios. Now, in many things that I've done in my past, we had to have scenarios. So if this happened, then our response would be this. And we had to have a lot of telemetry. We had to have a lot of understanding, knowledge about the reaction and what our reaction would be to something that goes a different direction. And so in your beekeeping endeavors or in any walk of life, having a scenario already thought through, it's going to save you a lot of headache and help you make more accurate decisions. An example would be, let's say that this spring you do a mite test and you see that you have 10 mites per 100 bees. We want it to be 3 or less. And you go, oh my gosh, I've got all these mites. And let's say it's 105 degrees outside. And you're like, and you got supers on there. So you're like, oh, I got too many mites. What do I do? That's a bad time to become acquainted with what to do. You should do that now. When you have time, you should say, I'm going to go through a scenario. What if I have a high mite infestation and it's kind of hot outside? So I need to think through my scenario. What would I do? And now you can do the research without there being a huge crisis that you're panicking over. When we panic, we don't always do well. But if you're trained really well, then when that crisis happened and you have the scenario painted out in your mind already, you fall back on your training. You fall back on your knowledge and your education and what you've been trained to do to respond to that. So you could do this. You could say, okay, I'm going to write down on a piece of paper 10 mites per 100 bees, hot day. And right now, when it's not really going on, I'm going to write down, what would I do? What treatments can I use when it's that hot? And do I have to take my supers off or leave them on? Got it all worked out. What happens if there's beetles everywhere? Don't wait until there are beetles everywhere. Go ahead and think through the scenario now while you have that luxury of not being under the crisis, and you can educate yourself on small hive beetles and what kind of things you're going to use. You might even buy the things you need, like the trap or the Swiffer pads or whatever your technique is going to be to control the beetles. Get those things on hand right now. And then when you're forced to deal with them, then boom, you've got a plan. What if you're queenless? Now this happens to a lot of new beekeepers. They install a package or a nuke and they go back and inspect it. Everything goes well. It goes well for a month. And they're like, wow, this is so easy. The beekeeping is great. I love it. A month later, wait, I don't see any eggs. Where's my queen? They don't see a queen. Oh shoot, are they raising a queen? I don't know if I have a queen. I don't know what to do. Do I buy a queen? And a lot of times they're raising a queen or the virgin queen is mating. There's so many scenarios where the new beekeeper responds incorrectly. And they make a lot of mistakes and they spend $75 to get a new queen, but the hive already made a queen that's out on a mating flight. So when they introduce a new queen that they paid $75 for, the bees just kill the new queen because they've already made a queen. And so bee biology and understanding, education, knowing, already have a plan, already have, write it out. What do I do if I look at my hive and I see no eggs and I don't see a queen? You write down. I'm going to share my experience with you. But you write down, I'm going to wait 7 days and I'm going to look again. Because that way, if the virgin queen was on a mating flight, by 7 days, she's probably back. And she'll be back, but she'll probably be laying eggs now. So maybe I'll wait 7 to 10 days, re-inspect. That's plan 1. Now in 7 to 10 days, if I don't see any eggs, I don't see a new queen, no queens at all, number 2, I'm going to buy a queen. So already pick out where you're going to buy that queen. Don't wait until the crisis to figure out, where am I going to buy a queen at? Already start working that system out. Where do I buy my queens from? Who shall I buy them from when I need them? See, have that written out as a plan you can fall back on, so you're not in a crisis, not knowing what to do. And then you understand, okay, when my queen arrives from the queen producer that I bought, I'm going to re-inspect my hive to make sure the virgin queen isn't mated and laying eggs. And if she is, I'm going to have to give this mated queen to a friend or a buddy that needs one. I can't do anything with it now, right? Or if you look and you're still queenless, then okay, you're going to introduce a new queen. Isn't that great? Oh, I love this. This is so fun. This is why I just have a passion for beekeeping and beekeepers. I really do. I think this is a really good teaching on luck versus experience. And I tell you, a lot of beekeepers are relying on luck, and there is some luck in the pocket sometimes, but it doesn't get us very far. Let me give you another example. What if you're in your second year of beekeeping? You can be a first-time beekeeper too, and your hives can still swarm. It happens, right? Be ready, because if you install your bees as a package or a nucleus, they sometimes swarm that first year. It's uncommon. I'm not going to I don't want you to worry about it, but it's very uncommon, but it does happen. But anyway, whether you're new or a second year or whatever, and your hive swarms and you've never seen a swarm and you don't know how to react, you're caught off guard. Number one, you don't have any equipment. You're not sure how to retrieve a swarm, and you just don't know the process. So now's the time to get educated. See, educate yourself before you gain years of experience. It's going to bridge that gap. So what you're going to do if you see a swarm, and let's say you get lucky, they land on a tree that's 5 feet off the ground, perfect scenario. What you're going to do is go over there and you're going to let them all settle down on that branch. And then you're going to decide if you can put a hive equipment, like a deep hive body with frames in it, or maybe a 5-frame nukes with frames in it, slide it under the swarm, shake the branch. They all fall in there, including the queen. You put a lid on it and you move it to where you always want that hive to be. Then you're going to go back in about 10 days to make sure you got the queen and that she's laying eggs. All is good. Here's a problem that a lot of people experience on their first swarm. They want to do all those things, but they've never heard this. They've never heard that before. And so they see that swarm out there and they go get a shoebox because they don't have extra frame or extra equipment, and they shake their bees in a shoebox. And it's too small, and the bees don't like it. And so in no time, the bees are lifting out of that shoebox because it's hot. There's no air. That's not how bees can live. Bee biology just says they need air. They need space. And so away they go again. Or they die because they're overheated in that shoebox that you're duct tape them, and you're going to save them until you get your bees delivered or your hives delivered to you in 2 weeks from today. That's not going to happen that way. So as someone that needs to educate yourself, you need to say, wow, David's right. I need to buy at least another bottom board deep and a top cover to have on hand anytime my bees may swarm. I can catch the swarm and put them back, or put them in this new box or this new nucleus or something. So that's an example of how we can educate ourselves now before we get the experience. We take our education out there to catch that swarm, not really knowing what we're doing, and with a little bit of luck and a whole lot of education, we do it, and now we have filled up our pocket of experience when it comes to swarming. Now, if you want to know what this little thing is here, many of you that follow my channel, you know what this is, but I've made a video about this, and it really does. This video is going to help you have more honey in your hive, and it'll tell you what this is all about if you watch this video right here. I'll see you over there, guys.